Welcome to the Haunted Hangover podcast. I'm Louie, and as always, I'm joined by my bud Dave.
Hey.
So Dave.
So Lou.
The Halloween season is over.
It sucks. It sucks.
This is the first week of November, and just like that, as soon as the 31st ends and the 1st of November starts, it's like we're in full-blown Christmas mode. Or that's just how it feels to me.
Yeah, it's true. You know, it's funny. Like, the day after Halloween is always the fucking worst day possible. And, you know, it's funny. I have a group chat with some like, my high school friends. And I said, does anybody in here also get sad the day after Halloween? And one of my friends replied with, no, I'm an adult.
Oh, my God.
And
fuck that guy.
And John, it's my buddy John. He's actually really funny. And then I said, but are you really? And he said no. So, you know, it's funny. Some people take it really lightheartedly, and some people just take it like a smack in the face. And I am in the smack in the face category.
I think that's just because we love Halloween. Not everyone feels the same way about the holiday, remember, so.
It's true.
But it's funny because I noticed this year, like I'll be watching TV, and for this is an example of how like they kind of rush the holiday. I'm watching like Fear Fest or some shit. I'll put it on TV just because they're always playing like horror movies. And like I'll start seeing Christmas commercials, and October's not even over yet. Like, dude, like 3 days ago, it's already like, go Christmas shopping. And like, you're already seeing like Christmas start before Halloween even arrives.
Target. I went into Target the final week of October. They had half the Christmas shit out already.
They're definitely starting. I'm sure if I were to go today or tomorrow, it's probably full-blown Christmas already.
Probably.
And not to knock Christmas, because I do like Christmas. I'm not like, I don't want people to think like I'm this like anti, like fuck Christmas, fuck Santa. Like, I love Christmas. Where do you stand with Christmas? Do you like it too?
No, it's fun. No, I actually do really love Christmas. You know what it is? There's a transition. It's like I have to go through this emotional transition from the end of Halloween into Thanksgiving into Christmas, because I do enjoy Thanksgiving and Christmas, but I do need to feel those feels before I get to that point of liking those holidays. And it's usually like a good 2-day period, 3-day period of feeling sadness after Halloween.
But the funny thing is, it's like, honestly, the holiday that gets the shit end of the stick is Thanksgiving, because I always felt like Halloween comes and goes, and then like Thanksgiving happens, but people are just worried about Christmas. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, pretty much. Like there's our like usually it's all discussion. Like I know I'm Italian, so at our Thanksgiving table, it's always just, so what are we doing this year for Christmas? It's already at Christmas, so Christmas talk is taking over Thanksgiving talk. It's just always been that way.
Gobble, gobble, motherfucker. Now that's what I call foul play.
So, Dave, I want to talk about some of the stuff we did this past Halloween season. And, with the way the world is today, it was pretty interesting.
Yeah.
It was a pretty interesting 2020.
It was. And we did a lot too. It's not like we didn't, we did a good amount of stuff this October. So there's really I have zero complaints of like as far as how things were facilitated. We got to go to that drive-through haunted house. That was really interesting because they have you line up in cars and they tell you there's a Spotify playlist that you just bring up, and then when you get to these markers on the path that you drive through, you just press play, and it's like kind of this immersive experience of storytelling. And personally, that was my actually favorite part of the haunt. I know you were a little disappointed with the haunt.
Well, I have this whole spiel with haunts. So if you're listening to our show, you probably know I review haunted attractions from time to time. And I'll put them up on our channel. And this year, I went to, I'm trying to think now, 4 haunted attractions starting in August.
Damn.
So the entire haunt experience for 2020 was quite different for me, just because the way these attractions are being run are are not normal. They're not doing it the way they normally do most years. So I told myself, I said, okay, I can't be too harsh on these haunts because they're not running like full steam ahead. They're not, half the scare actors inside and limited people being allowed in, which isn't a bad thing. So I was curious how these attractions would operate this year. And the one you're talking about, which is called Gateway Playhouse, I believe, right?
I forgot the name. I know it's Gateway. And they usually do an amazing haunt, like inside there, because it's a theater. It's like an independent theater out east in Long Island, and they do a really nice haunt. It's really cool, and they just adapted to to what Louis is saying. Like they had to make something different,
and a lot of them are doing that because I still have some reviews I'm working on. There's like one or two I'm going to be putting up in the coming next couple weeks, but. This haunt, I think originally they never had a haunted hayride, if I remember correctly. It was just like one haunt with an exterior and an interior. And this had been my first year going to this specific haunt. And I didn't hate it. I didn't hate it, but I also didn't love it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, of course.
And the entire experience, I feel I'd be too harsh on it to review it. You get what I'm saying? Like, I can't review them if like under these like these circumstances and the way the world is right now. So, I got to go to 4 different haunts, and the whole drive-through experience was a nice touch. And a lot of them, I believe a lot of haunts that have a hayride, like a haunted hayride, are axing that. And what they did this year is they just had you drive your cars through the same trail. And it was cool. It was a cool experience because I don't think if it weren't for the pandemic, we wouldn't have an experience like that,
Right, exactly. It's a very good way of putting that. And I also think a lot of like different states did the same shit too, where they all did these immersive drive-through haunts. And you got to adapt to what to the climate that we're in. And honestly, it's a really cool way of doing so.
The main issue I saw with a lot of these haunts and the 4 I went to this past year were that there weren't a lot of actors in them. They'd have a few, but again, you have to understand they can't have people in close contact, wearing masks. So it almost felt like you were walking through an empty haunted house at times. And I experienced that in all 4 that I visited this year. And again, like, it's just hard to kind of gauge. Like if I had to give a haunted house a rating, like, okay, and I do give them ratings, out of 5. Like, I can't give them a 2 for the 2020 season because they didn't have a lot of actors and I was a little disappointed. So I almost feel like it's not fair, like because of the circumstances of the world.
No, you're right. I think it's funny while we were driving through, I think we were talking about it. And I think I had said I give it 3 pumpkins or something like that, or 3.5 pumpkins. I was actually giving it a review.
And I think I was like, I'd give it 2 or something like that.
Yeah,
and you were like, Lou, don't be so harsh. I was like...
Yeah, I did say that.
And I think I remember telling you, I said, dude, I don't think I'm going to review... Like, I had a great time. There was 4 of us. We were hanging out. And I even told you, I said, I don't think I'm going to review Gateway because...
No, it's fair.
It wouldn't be fair for them, for me to give them like this shitty review and... it just makes them seem like a lame haunt, So I think I even told you, I said, I think next year, knock on wood, hopefully everything's better, I'll revisit them and check it out when they're like, when they're fully operational, But it was an interesting season. Just a lot of people thought Halloween was going to be canceled.
No, not at all.
And that, a lot of things weren't going to be happening, a lot of events, a lot of... activities, trick-or-treating. And that's something I want to ask you. And I know you've mentioned on the show that your neighborhood in general, my neighborhood too, we don't get many trick-or-treaters.
Dude, all right, I'm gonna answer what I think your question is right now. I put a plate of candy out on my steps, and I wrote a letter that said, "Take 2 each. P.S. Stay spooky." And I put like good shit out. The Witch's Brew Kit Kats, Reese's, Snickers, the regular Kit Kats. So I had the Reese's on top of the plate, and I probably put like 7 out. All the Reese's were gone, and that was it. So I definitely got like 2 or 3 or maybe 4 trick-or-treaters. We never get them.
Oh, so there were people out there, and that's... I saw a few people in my neighborhood. I was busy all day, so I wasn't really home. But I saw people like driving around. I saw kids here and there sprinkled. It was definitely a lot less than other years. But it was good to see that there were still kids trick-or-treating. And it seems on social media, from what I've seen, that there were people taking out their kids. And again, I don't have kids. You don't have kids. So we're not taking anyone out trick-or-treating. But it was cool to see that it was still happening. People were still, taking their kids out. But it's just really sad because, again, like, if you're a kid, and I was with kids earlier that day, and I think there were my girlfriend's nieces and nephew, and even he was like, "Can we go outside?" Because he's wearing his costume. He was dressed up as Black Panther.
Right.
And he's like, "Why aren't we trick-or-treating?" And that was only because I don't think his mother wanted him to go trick-or-treating.
Right.
So, it's like, I get parents that are a little, paranoid. It is a scary time to be, interacting with random people. But it's just, it's interesting just to see that some parents were like, "Fuck it, I'll take my kids." And some were like, nah, you got to stay home.
Yeah. And, without getting into anything, because we don't want to talk about this right now, you just got to be safe. There's safe ways to do everything. And that's that. That's all I'm saying.
And another thing, I know you did, and I missed it. I couldn't make it, but I know you went to it. Another drive-in, drive-through type of experience was you went to Monster Mania's drive-in event, right?
That was so good. Yeah. So my introduction to the Mahoning Drive-In Theater. So I've always known about this place. My first visit was in, I want to say August, like the very end of August. We had gone to VHS Fest, and it was fucking awesome. We went with our bud Tommy Valley, who I'm sure we've had on an episode. He's been on the channel a bunch of times, and our friend Sean, and it was just such a good time. The Mahoning is a really, really special place. I got to get you out there, Lou, because you would love it.
Yeah, I saw some of the pictures you posted up. It looked really cool.
Yeah, and fortunately, there was a Monster Mania of sorts this year at Mahoning on Devil's Night. And it was cool to get, the Monster Mania feel again, because we were all going to go in March, and it got canceled, obviously. And they did it, they had only, they didn't have a ton of vendors, but I mean, everybody, and they actually just won an award for this from, the county they live in. So they won an award for how safe and, precautionary they were with how they did their events, because I'm not even lying to you. They did it so well. Everything is spaced out. You don't even have to be you don't even have to be 6 feet in front of people. Everything is spaced out. You wear your mask. You do what you got to do, and literally you could still have an experience and have fun with being safe. And they did Monster Mania this year. So it was 2 nights. It was Friday and Saturday. We chose Devil's Night to go, and it sold out too. And we got to see From Dusk Till Dawn on 35mm print and Creepshow, which was fucking awesome. And seeing From Dusk Till Dawn, I haven't watched that movie in a while. What a great movie. Such a fun fucking movie. And we took our friend Adriana, and she had never seen it. And when the change of the movie happens, she was just like, "Holy shit." Because nobody knows. Because if you never see that movie and you know what's coming, you don't even, it's just a completely mind-blowing thing to watch.
It comes out of nowhere.
But dude, and honestly, this was probably my favorite thing I did this October. was go to the Mahoning Drive-In for Monster Mania.
Yeah, it's funny. This year, I haven't had a chance to go to any drive-in, like theater events, any movies, surprisingly, because it's, I'm in Queens, so it's still, and you're in Long Island. We have to drive pretty far to go to some of these places. And it's funny because Queens does have a few. There are a few, like, diners, I think, and some other places that have, like, little drive-in movie theaters set up in, like, their parking lot. But I just haven't had a chance yet, and I keep hearing great things about these drive-in experiences. And I'm sure just the way things seem to be going, that's going to kind of stick around because everyone seems to be having fun. And that event did look really cool. Like, I would have totally have gone if I had other plans that day. I couldn't make it. But if they do it again, I'd totally be down. I saw people were dressed up like if it were a convention.
Yeah, they had a costume contest,
and they had this. Yeah, it seemed like you guys had a good time.
We did. It was a fucking great time. Excuse my language, even though I've been cursing probably the whole time that we've been talking.
We always curse on this show, Dave.
Yeah.
So
yeah, and you know what? And I just want to add one more thing. It's something that I can see as far as next March goes. As a replacement,
yes, I'm sure
for Monster Mania. So I think like if they are planning to do it, I think this is the route they may go. Especially if things are still sketchy, which it seems like they kind of are getting more sketchy as the weather is getting colder.
Yeah, I'm hoping things get better and not worse.
Yeah, of course.
But speaking of hanging out and doing stuff, you and I got to go to 2 Halloween parties this year as well.
Yes, we did.
A lot of people are nervous when it comes to large gatherings, and that's understandable. But we got to go to a friend's, Christina, who listens to the show.
Whoop, whoop. Shout out to Christina.
She had a party this year, and we went and we had a great time. Got dressed up as skeletons.
Skeleton crew.
We were eating pastries and taking pictures, I think, right? At one point, we were just taking pictures.
We reviewed Tommy Valley's pumpkin pie in her kitchen. It was a fun party. She did a really good job, and she makes really good. What's the cake? I can't think of. I'm blanking on it.
Cake.
There it is. Thank you.
But yeah, it's interesting because again, I feel like this is the year, even though people aren't supposed to be gathering in large numbers, where I think a lot of people had Halloween parties. So Halloween Day, I live right by a Ruby's, like their flagship store. It's a huge store, literally like 3 blocks from my apartment. And the line was wrapped around the building. And I'm like,
sure.
These were all adults, not kids. So people
last minute costumes.
Yeah, last minute. People were going to parties. Halloween was on a Saturday this year, so it's like the perfect day of the week to have a party.
Exactly.
And it's funny because, like I said, we went to Tina's party, and we had a great time. And then my family had a party on Halloween.
Oh man!
And and this goes to my favorite thing of the 2020 season is my mother put together a pretty cool, very detailed Halloween party.
No, your mom put together a fucking great Halloween party.
So she built
you can gloat for your mom.
She built a little haunted house inside of her house on the first floor, and she decorated the entire backyard. Some of the highlights of some of the things she did was she basically built a fake campsite in the top of the back, because her backyard has this little like slope where you have to take these little steps to go up to the second level.
Such an interesting backyard they have.
Yeah, it is. And she literally had a tent, a Camp Crystal Lake sign, a Jason Voorhees dummy scarecrow type of thing that she built, and a giant projector screening the first Friday the 13th.
It was amazing.
So I know, Dave, I know you love that thing in the backyard.
Oh, I loved it.
Yeah. And then,
loved it. And dude, the haunt inside of your mom's house where she was only letting 2 people in at a time. So we walk in, and I'm like, this is so good how she did it. And then I'm like, wait, like, so on her basement door it says open, and I'm like, are we supposed to go downstairs? And I'm like, tell me this haunt continues in the basement. So I'm about to go downstairs, and then I think I texted you or Andrea had walked in, and I'm like, are we supposed to go downstairs? And they're like, no. I'm like, oh, all right. I was like, oh, I guess it goes down into the basement too. But it was such a cool, like, the way your mom did it was just, she killed it. She killed it.
And that was a really good. It was a good time. You know, she went all out. My sister, she made these, like, I know you don't drink, Dave, obviously. I think our listeners know that by now. But she made these, like, margaritas inside of, like, these blood bags. And
I figured out that's what that was.
Yeah, it was a margarita inside of a blood bag. And, you know, we only had close friends and family there. And
right.
It was a good time. And she would just, you know, my mother loves Halloween, you know, and I've said it on the show before. Her mindset was just like, it's on a Saturday. And, you know, her birthday's on the 30th. And she's like, I just want to have this big, you know, elaborate Halloween party. And she did a great job. And it was cold in New York that night. But she had heaters. And honestly,
yeah, dude,
I was drinking. So at one point, I didn't even feel the cold anymore. But that was definitely that was the highlight for me. Simply because, honestly, we've talked about Halloween memories.
Oh, this one for sure is going to be a future Halloween memory, 100%.
And I remember talking about my grandma's Halloween party. And this party was just, it was very reminiscent of that. Like, just seeing my mom.
It's awesome.
Kind of, you know, recreating what my grandma did at this point, like, over 25 years ago.
Yeah, it's awesome.
You know, and it was just cool. And I got to have, you know, some of my best friends, you know, you were there and a couple other people that we're all friends with were there, and Tom and Tito, everybody, you know.
It was awesome.
But, you know, a lot of people that are honestly involved with Haunted Hangover behind the scenes, you know, and just family and stuff. So just the whole experience was definitely just a highlight for me, you know, and doing other things, obviously going to pumpkin patches and haunted houses is just as important.
Yeah, of course.
But just being able to be with people you care about and just, you know, get dressed up like an idiot.
Right.
and just run around, you know, my mother's place that she turned into a haunted house. You know? Dude, she was planning that haunted house for the last 3 months. So did you see that thing she bought? It was like a little girl that, like, comes to life and jumps at you. I think she had a Ouija board. So
right, she set it up in front of behind the Ouija board. Yeah, it was awesome.
Yeah. And my intent is to one day, you know, I've had little Halloween parties, you know, but I want to have a bigger Halloween party one day, kind of like that, you know. It's a lot of work, man. It's a lot of work, though, you know.
Yeah, of course.
We all spent the night, and literally I walk out into I was staying in my mom's guest room, and I walk out into the kitchen.
Dude,
her kitchen table is just full of bones, severed limbs, like brains, skeletons. It was amazing.
I think I was talking to your cousin inside the house, and I was like, she was like, yeah, I'm sleeping here tonight. And I said, I'm jealous because I want to wake up and walk into this kitchen with everything decorated. I said, I would love to wake up to this. It's really funny.
No, it is. It's you know, she put a lot of work into it. So I'm glad people, you know, came out and had a good time, and, you know, everyone was safe. Everyone was, you know, it was outdoors. That was the other thing. My mom was like, she was really pushing. That's why the party wasn't in the house, because she knew with, you know, pandemic and COVID and stuff.
No, of course.
Have it outside.
And you know, just to be fair, the two parties that we did go to, we did know where these people have been. So it's not like we were doing some random, like, warehouse parties. Because I was listening to the radio, that I know that people got in trouble, and, like, in the city and shit, for having warehouse parties.
I can't believe people had, like, parties. Like, they were, like...
Yeah.
Because bars here in New York and clubs aren't open. So I'm surprised that even happened. Yeah. So...
You know, I gotta say... As you know, crappy of a year, you know, this has turned out to be, and it's nobody's fault except the virus.
Yeah.
I gotta say, this October has been really great. Like, and I say this in a way where I hope it could be like a positive thing for people to take in. Like it's so important to be able to adapt to, you know, to stuff, especially like what's going on, and just kind of make the best of what you can with it. And like I said, it's been a great October. Like I went pumpkin picking with my mom because we do it all the time. It's a ritual for us. You know, I got to hold us down on the Forever Bogus podcast. Yeah. It was great being a guest on their show, and you know, chatting with Elijah and Jamie and Bryce about, you know, 4 underrated horror movies that take place on Halloween. You know, just like, you just gotta, like, you know, and there's so many cool companies putting cool stuff out. You know, I got a whole bunch of really cool zines and stuff like that. Like, there's ways to, like, really make your Halloween, like, season special. And you just gotta make it work, you know? So, if 2021's October is like this October, minus coronavirus, that'd be a great thing.
Yeah, I agree. I can't say my October or Halloween season in general was bad. You know, it's been a good 2 months, and the only con I could say is that they delayed Halloween Kills till next year. Honestly, like, that was it.
The trailer was sick, though.
That's the only real negative thing that kind of happened. I love the Halloween movies, so I was looking forward to seeing it. But I could wait another year. You know, whatever.
I mean, they could have went the whole route and just released it. You know, released it on, you know, whatever. What is it called? On you know,
VOD. Yeah.
Yeah, there you go. Like, they could have done that, but I mean,
yeah, man, nothing beats the movie theater experience, man.
That's true. It's true.
That was really the only con, and that's why we ended up reviewing Hubie Halloween. So
yeah, exactly. And you know, like, and honestly, I was trying, and I had said it to you before, like, I really can't think of anything like bad about this, you know, Halloween season. But the only thing that really sucked, and I think everybody knew that it was inevitable anyway, was that New York City Comic-Con was canceled. Other than that, yeah, you know, and that usually is kind of like the catalyst for that brings in Halloween season for me. But, you know, I knew it wasn't happening.
There was no way. There was no way.
Yeah, there's no fucking way that was happening.
You know, and I'm glad that, you know, this is the first year that the podcast exists too, like during during the Halloween season. So it's, you know, it's been great kind of doing the show, you know, for the first time. You know, Haunted Hangover has been around for a little while now, but the show, this is our first, you know, full season of existing.
The podcast extension, you know? Is exactly.
You know, so it's just been fun to kind of share stuff with people and get, you know, such great feedback from all the listeners and people that we know and friends of the show, and getting people on our show, and it's just been an overall great Halloween season. So it's like, dude, can't really complain. Could not agree more. Yeah, can't really complain.
Before we close this out, Louie and I wanted to bring a post-Halloween episode to everybody just to ease that sadness, like I said earlier. And I think the perfect way to make this episode go out on a really high note, even though it's already on a high note, is a text message I have with my friend Sergio, who now lives in North Carolina, used to live around the corner from me, and his birthday is the day after Halloween. And I asked him this on the day after Halloween. I said, let me ask you, being that your birthday is the day after Halloween, is it a bittersweet feeling? Because I get so damn sad. He replied, it's the greatest feeling in the world when October 1st hits and the countdown begins. I love the lead up, and the week before gets me giddy as fuck. I go all out for Halloween and go to bed knowing I'm waking up to my birthday and the continuation of the holiday season with Thanksgiving and Christmas. Bringing family and friends together, I just allow it to be a catalyst to make each subsequent Halloween that much more epic. That is beautiful, Sergio. Shout outs to you.
We've got to find Jack! There's only 365 days left till next Halloween!
364!
So that's our 2020 post-Halloween show. You know, Thanksgiving and Christmas are right around the corner, and we do have some holiday-themed episodes that we'll be bringing to you real soon. And with that being said, be sure to subscribe, Follow us on Instagram and Twitter at Haunted Hangover.
And if you can rate and review us, that'd be greatly appreciated.
And remember, the best cure for a hangover is...
more booze.
Later, guys.